I'm with Jonathan Fowlie, who's the Chief External Relations Officer from Vancity. Jonathan, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. It's a real pleasure.
Oh no, you're welcome. I'm excited to talk to you today. We put this on social, and there's people, believe it or not, who may not know about Vancity. So I wonder if you could just talk a little bit about who Vancity is and also what your role is there.
Yeah, of course. So Vancity, we're a values-based financial cooperative based in kind of Metro Vancouver, serving Metro Vancouver and South Vancouver Island. We've got about 560,000 member owners, 54 branches, again, across Metro Vancouver, Fraser Valley, Victoria, Squamish, Alert Bay, and we're about $33 billion in assets plus assets under administration. So that makes us kind of, depending how you count, Canada's largest community credit union. And really, I think what makes us, stand out or a bit unique is that values-based focus and that sort of bottom line. And so we've long held a view that our success needs to be measured and should be measured across profit. We are a for-profit cooperative, planet, and people. And so really take a look through all we do at how our purpose shows up in how we operate our business.
Yeah, and I think in sort of researching you, you have a newer strategy around the fairness and clean. I wonder if you could just talk about that a bit more and how you arrived at that particular strategy.
Yeah, and I think it's funny. I mean, so the strategy is probably maybe a couple of years old in terms of the business plan. It's a 3-year business plan that rotates through, and I think though new, it feels like that comfortable pair of gloves that you slip on when the winter comes, because it really is something that we drew looking to the past first in terms of who are we, who have we been, and why are we successful. 76 years ago, 14 people came around a table. I always call it a kitchen table. I have no idea if that's true, but let's pretend for the sake of this that it is. Sounds a lot better. But really, and said, financial institutions are not serving everyone in our communities. There are people who are left out of the financial system. And at the time, for those who know Vancouver now, it's always striking to say that one of the big problems that folks were trying to solve in those days was you couldn't get a mortgage for a property east of Main Street. And for those who know the hot housing market in Vancouver, hello, that's a pretty affluent area and one that lenders are looking at, with great fervor, but not back then. And I think people of the day kind of said, we can do this differently. If we, as members of the community, pool our financial resources, we can break through some of the systemic barriers that exist and put money in the hands of those who are not served by the current system. And I think that really set Vancity on a path to where we are today, where whether it be the pandemic, whether it be issues of climate, whether it be inequality, we really still track back to that initial insight that you can use the tools of finance, where we lend money, and how we think about judging the risk of those loans to create a better community and one that better reflects who we want to be. And so, we came to a vision statement last year that, again, I think the best vision statements are more of what I would call an archaeological exercise than a wordsmithing exercise. Who are we? And how do we want to translate that forward? And so the vision we came to was a transformed economy that protects the earth and guarantees equity for all. And I think it's a pretty strong and bold articulation of why we exist and what we want to create. And the strategy that sits underneath that has 4 goals that are folks throughout the organization, I hope, really can articulate at the drop of a hat and really bring throughout all the work they do. And that's we want to be an agent of positive change. We want to be a best financial partner for our members. We want to be a leading employer, and as an organization, we need to be financially strong. And I think those have guided us well through, some pretty volatile times, whether it be a pandemic, whether it be some of the climate events that we've seen across British Columbia in the last couple of years, or whether it be now as we look towards a very uncertain economic future and think about who we are and how we want to operate as a business, how we want to operate as an employer, and how we want to show up for members who I think are looking to their financial institutions more so today than they have in the past to help them understand how to navigate what lies ahead.
Yeah, in your research, are I certainly see that this, goes across all sort of demographic groups. I see it increasingly though in the younger, Zeds and Gen Ys. Are you seeing that? Are you seeing this sort of across the board interest in, how we treat our world and how we treat each other? It's more prevalent, let's say, than it may have been in the past?
Absolutely. I think we've done national research on this question around what role do you want the businesses in your community to play in issues like inequality, in issues like climate. And frankly, I was a bit surprised when we looked at that nationally that it was kind of in the high 80%
Wow.
around people who really had that expectation and that understanding. You're starting to see it really show up in terms of the questions that people are asking, and the way, frankly, the economy is going. Like, I think we all kind of have this notion that it's the next generation who are asking these questions most prevalently. But I think they are, and that's great. But you're also seeing it across the economy. The investors are asking for much more disclosure on climate, on emissions. We were talking to one fellow who leads investing in a major financial institution in the U.S. this morning, and he said, they've gone from kind of looking at the disclosure of companies and what they're disclosing to scraping the internet, if you can believe it, for what their employees are saying about the company, using AI to translate that into a sense of employee engagement and how the company is treating their employees. And so really what they're seeing there is a company that cares about the environment, that cares about the future, that is thinking about its role in the economy, that treats its employers well, is actually more financially resilient and likely to be more successful. Yeah. And the kind of data they were looking at, like, this is like when you take the politics and the rhetoric out and you just look at the data, the story actually really emerges for itself. And that to me is the most interesting place where we find ourselves, where we've gone from, people care about these, people raise their voices, that people start moving their money. Once that starts happening, once dollars start entering the conversation, then things really start to change.
Yeah. So, your portfolio, you look after communications and brand and government relations and community. I think I've got it right. When you look at taking this to market, so you're using this, I don't know if it's a tagline, but the financial force for change, and you're creative. So putting my marketing hat on there, your creative is different than what I see out of just about any financial institution. So can you sort of talk about landing that particular platform, both in the language you're using and the the creative that you're using?
Yeah, and I think for this, it's helpful to broaden out to the larger picture, right? Every financial institution right now wants to talk to you about the advice that they provide you. They want to talk to you about the way that they understand who you are and what you're going through and what your needs are. And in many cases, that's true. In many cases, it's an approximated average view. And I think where the credit union advantage is, and where we see ourselves in the best market position, is we are our membership, we are our community, and we understand the members we serve in a very very authentic and specific way. Down to the point where you have members who still walk into branches and will wait in line and let people go by because they have a favorite teller that they want to talk to, because there's that connection. There's that sense of, me. And so that, if we have a secret sauce, it's that. And so how do we scale that and move that into the way that we talk to members in a more digital space? Because, those same pieces need to hold true if that's our value proposition. And so, I think that's why how we operate on the community impact side, how we think about the value that we present to folks in their community can't just be about cutting checks or sponsoring events. It's really got to be a systemic understanding of the challenges that you're facing, whether they be the future for your kids in this community when it comes to being able to afford a home, being able to participate in the economy, being able to make it through systemic barriers that have long existed. And so when we're developing that story in a very authentic way, our best foot that we can put forward is to approach members in that same fashion and say, we believe that we understand who you are and what your needs are in a way that other financial institutions don't. And this is where we want to start this conversation off with you to say, we think we can actually serve you in a way that others can't, by understanding your needs, by giving you advice that is really tailored to who you are and comes from a place of understanding of frankly, what you're thinking about when you're up late at night, worrying about not just how to meet payroll for your small business, but also, your kids who you just put to bed. What's the world going to look like for them in 10 years, in 15 years? And I think our creative has to be different because our offering is different. And there's, a number of competitors that are crowding into the market with a different message. But I think people can smell authenticity. And that's where we are really trying to make sure that, what we have to offer is what we talk about.
So, Jonathan, this position you're taking around a financial force for change, it seems very right that Vancity would take that. Do you think more credit unions should be calling for change in different areas?
I think that every credit union is different in how it serves its members and understands those memberships. And I think we are seeing more credit unions being more bold and more forceful. And I think the opportunity really is present, right? Credit unions can do this because we are owned by our members and accountable to our members, not to shareholders. And not to folks who are looking for quarterly profits. There's a lot of pressures that exist when you report to a board of directors that is looking for only a financial return on their investments. Yeah. And that's and I think that our colleagues in the banks are navigating those in the ways that they need to, and trying to find their best way through. But we have a competitive advantage. Yeah. We are owned and governed by our members, and Lawrie, I see that every time I go into our board. We brought commitments to our board on getting to net zero by 2040 at a time where the financial the entire industry hadn't really kind of articulated this as the path forward. And we walk into the boardroom and say, and frankly, this had been an ongoing conversation from the board, kind of saying, okay, what are we going to do? So it wasn't even but we walked in to say, this is where we think we can go. That by 2040, we will have eliminated the carbon emissions from the majority of all loans that we have issued. That means if you have a mortgage with Vancity, we got to find a way to help you change to an electric heat pump or find other ways to reduce your emissions. And we need to do it in a way that is affordable, accessible, and attractive to you as a member so that you're making that choice because it makes sense for you and your family. And the board's reaction, they had a lot of questions, of course, but at the end of the day, they were wildly supportive because they understood that when you have a triple bottom line and when you're owned by your members, it's your responsibility to make that, to say, yeah, we want to see a plan from you, management. We want to understand how you're going to do it. We want to see the modeling. We want to track this carefully. But we're willing to take a bit of a risk here to say, we're going to chart this path. because we truly believe in a triple bottom line, and we truly understand that the returns on that are longer term, not in the next quarter. And that honestly makes all the difference. And I think credit unions don't always understand the value that is inherent in the way we are governed.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's a great answer. One of the things I've noticed, and it's kind of cool, is this carbon counter credit card. I believe this is very consistent also with Vancity. It's a first. I don't know that anyone else is doing this. So could you talk a little bit about what that is, what the benefits are?
Yeah, of course. And it is a first. We're partnered with Visa on this. It'll be available for members starting in January. So if you have a Vancity credit card, you can log in the new year and see the emissions that are estimated to all the purchases that you've made.
Wow.
And it was I'm losing track of time again. The pandemic has this way of just, it was like, was that 2 years ago or 20? But this started with our CEO Christine Bergeron writing to the president of Visa Canada, saying, we noticed that you have just acquired a fintech in Europe that does carbon accounting on your credit card portfolio.
Oh, interesting. We
want to be the first financial institution, the first Visa issuer in Canada to roll this out. And they immediately understood that we were a good partner in this, because we already have understood a lot of the pieces of what it takes, and we have a membership that's asking for it. We have a membership that is saying, we want to be part of the journey, and we want you to help us get there. And so, I think the way it works is, we want to be thoughtful in how we roll this out, because there's particularly as we're heading into more challenging economic times, what we're not trying to do is pass judgment on people or force them to be thinking about things that they don't see as particularly relevant to them. But we know that so many people are. And so you'll log into to a separate website where you can track, where you can or see all of the emissions that are attributable to all of the purchases that you make. And then as that builds out, we will have some recommendations built into that about what kind of changes you can make and how that can look different. And I think, again, to me, this is one of the values of being close to your community and close to your membership. Yeah. You remember when the economy started opening up a little bit, and Canada's finance minister was noting that people had a lot of savings built up. There was this question about, okay, well, what are people going to do with this money? What's going to happen? And our view, again, through the lens of our partnership with Visa, we said we want to incentivize people to shop at local businesses. So how do we do that? And so what we did was we collected all of the kind of code categories in the Visa portfolio that were attributable to local businesses, over-indexing to kind of smaller businesses, and said, we will give you extra points. I forget the multiple, but it was material, if you shop at these businesses over the next period of time. And marketed that and really pushed it so that folks who were looking to spend their dollars, if they had a Vancity credit card, had an extra incentive to seek out a local business, because they could get points that they could either turn into cash back or some other rewards, in addition to what they were getting from business in the local economy. And again, this is how we see using our financial products in a way that aligns with our values. And so, the Visa counter is really about saying to members, we have heard you loud and clear that you want your financial institution to help you understand your overall picture when it comes to your climate and carbon footprint. And then, we equip you with that information, provide you with best advice, and then it's up to you to make the decisions that you want to make. And that's the key part here, is that we are wanting to serve as a partner in this work, and then allowing members to make their own decisions with the information that we're able to provide.
Yeah, and it's very aligned to being a financial force for change. It's giving the members that something right in their hands that allows them to do that. So, I think it's very, I think it's cool and it's very consistent with, I think, where you're going from a branding perspective. So, congratulations on that. I think that's
Well,
amazing.
and it's interesting, right? Because financial force for change, I think, I like the double entendre that's
Yeah,
there,
yeah,
because you could look at Vancity as the force.
yeah,
I look at the membership, the 560,000 member owners, because we can do all we want to create these products, create these incentives, but it's the mobilization of the money that sits in the accounts of the folks who live in our communities that actually really is what matters. And that's where I've kind of enjoyed the asking people, what does financial force for change mean? And you get different answers, and that's the beauty of it. So
yeah,
it's kind of
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, so you've got it at this sort of the corporate level and the individual level, which if you can have that, I think that's amazing. So congratulations. This innovation, and we talked about it earlier, and I'll date myself here, but I remember when I was back in university, I wrote a paper on Vancity, and that, I'm old, so that's a while ago. And it was about how innovative the organization was. It was doing, first, I think, offer daily interest savings. There's, your website has lots of them. And what is it that keeps you so consistent there? Like what is this thing you take to innovation to actually get it done? Many others talk about their ideas, but sometimes they don't implement them. So how do you get it, to that level?
Yeah, I think again, it's hard to answer that question when you're in it, right? And I don't think you should never call yourself innovative. It's not something, it's you do what you do and you hope for the best.
Right.
But I think, as I think about your question, you're right. Like the Vancity website it's an amazing reminder of the shoulders that we all stand on when we walk into work every morning here.
Yeah.
The first financial institution to offer a mortgage to a woman without a male cosigner. The first to offer a sustainable mutual fund. I think actually we were the first to offer some version of online banking, but it was through your television, and no one cared. So the innovation is not always like sometimes we're dangerously ahead of our time and can't figure out the way to make it stick. But I think as I think about your question, where my mind really goes is the beginning of the pandemic, and what I observed within this organization, and how when you truly embrace, and I don't want to sound too kind of boosterish, but when you truly embrace a triple bottom line, it changes the way you think. And so, the pandemic hits, invites great uncertainty amongst our employees, our board. Everyone is asking, like, what is this going to look like? And the leadership of the organization kind of took a step back and said, for the last 10 years since the financial crisis, our members, we were not hit by the financial crisis, but I think the economy rallied as a result of members, kind of putting their capital into the financial system, and in our case, the credit union. And we had built up great strength. We grew quite significantly over that time period. And it was I remember the words, if there ever was a rainy day, look outside because the rain is falling. And the philosophy at that moment in time was, our members have grown the strength of this organization, and now it's our turn to turn that around. And so what you had was an organization that was looking at, how do we meet member needs, right? I'll forever remember the 24-hour period in which we made a decision to drop our credit card fees to 0% during that time. And if you recall, what was happening was people had shifted, like businesses had shifted away from taking cash because they weren't sure if that was what was transmitting COVID. There was a variety of other kind of issues that were happening, and so you had all of a sudden an economy shift very quickly to credit cards, and you had people who were not sure about, they were off work, they weren't sure what was going to happen, and a prime minister who every day would come out to his front stoop and kind of deliver the state of the nation. And there was one day in particular where he walked out and said, we need to do something about credit card fees. He identified this challenge. And it was not much longer that we made a decision that what we could do about that was drop the interest rate to 0%. And what I love about that is, if you didn't need it, if you weren't carrying a balance, you didn't need to take it, and because you were fine, and that didn't cost us anything. But if you were really struggling and looking at the growing balance on your credit card bill, we needed to be there for you. And frankly, that to me is again instructive of an organization that says, what's the right thing to do? And then how do we pay for it? And I think that a long-winded way of getting to a very short and snappy answer, that when that triple bottom line really shows up through all of your organization, where you've got folks in all places of the organization bringing ideas and expecting innovation, it really drives your culture.
Yeah, and it seems just very much grounded in the membership and acting in their best interest. And certainly, what you did around the credit cards was bold, but it was, what was needed by the members. So, it seems aligned. You're a leader in the system. Why should others work at a credit union? Why do you work at a credit union?
To me, again, it's you get to create the future community that you want to live in. As we said off the top, a financial institution is this kind of like hidden gem of a part of our economy and society, where every day we're making decisions about who gets a loan and who doesn't. Getting a loan can be the difference between a great idea becoming a reality or not. And to me, working at a credit union that understands its community and that looks to make those decisions in a way that helps shape a better world and better community is priceless. And I think I feel immensely fortunate. I've had a bit of a kind of a very disjointed career path as I bumped from my first job was editing children's cartoons, and then went to journalism and consulting, and here I am, and I think I feel very fortunate to work in this system, and amongst colleagues who really have the best interests of our communities at heart.
That's a great answer. My last sort of business question, then I have a couple fun ones for you. What are one or two trends that you think every credit union will need to address in order to stay relevant in the future? What would be on your list there?
Yeah, I think the immediate future has to be the changing economic environment. We have seen an unprecedented shift in interest rates, and that's it's really changing the fundamentals of the entire business. And I think kind of managing through this period of economic uncertainty, both for us as an organization and for our membership, is going to be crucial. Like, again, back to how we are thinking about our value proposition during this time. I do think that our members, that everyone and all Canadians are looking to their financial institutions to help them out in a way that maybe they haven't before, because their variable rate mortgage just started costing them an extra $1,000 a month, and that's a significant change in someone's life that we need to be there to help them through. So it's, how do we help the members through, and how do we make sure? Again, one of our goals is remaining financially strong, and so how do we make sure that we keep the credit union strong and serve our members. Longer term, I think digitization is off-cited, but I think for good reason, right? I think we're seeing a number of developments in digital payments, in a move to open banking, or what the government is calling consumer-directed finance, where I think we've talked a lot on this in this conversation about the real value proposition of credit unions is understanding the communities and the members that we serve. And as we move into a digital future, as we try and look to make investments to keep pace with a very quickly changing landscape and environment, how do we do that and make sure that we retain and hold on to where we show up best, which is really understanding the needs of the folks that we are looking to serve, really keeping that connection. Because you ask about innovation, I can talk about the DNA of the organization, but really, like, the innovation that happens at Vancity comes from the membership. Like, we develop solutions to the problems and challenges and opportunities that we see. And that really is the answer on the innovation question, is that connection to our community. Like the things become obvious in terms of what you need to do. Then it just becomes, what do we do about it? And so I think, there's a lot of talk about digitization from a, kind of the technology side. To me, I think all credit unions need to be thinking about this in terms of how do we hold on to the secret sauce of who we are down to our core and why people walk in our doors. How do we make sure that translates into the digital environment in a way that keeps us connected and keeps our members feeling like we still know them?
Yeah. No, that's a great answer. Okay, fun questions.
Come on, all these were fun.
They're all fun. So I have this vault. I don't know if anyone has a vault anymore, but anyways, I do. And I have these questions are so golden that I keep them in a vault.
Oh, I love it.
I'm opening it up with the secret code, which is not complicated. Now I can open. There it is. All right. So 2 questions for you. What is your favorite room in your home and why?
Oh, my favorite room in the home and why? My favorite room is the living room, without doubt. I've got 2 young kids, 6 and 9, and like it is the stage for so many plays. I tell you, like last night, there was a Christmas song that came on, and my son says to my daughter, "Hannah, it's our song," and they just start dancing.
Oh, I love
and then the next we're sitting down and playing Uno together, and then to me. It really is the place where we can just be us.
Yeah.
And it takes on, as I think it through, so many different forms, from a wrestling arena to a stage for the floor is lava, to I could go on, but I think you get the idea.
I think it's like your own theater, and you don't know what's playing each night. That's
100%. Yeah.
Great. All right, one more. If you had a lifetime supply of anything, what would it be?
Yeah, I mean, like, listen, if there's a competing priority that's coming to the surface when I talk about food, it's going to be either espresso beans or hot sauce.
Yeah.
And this is where I'm like, can I take 2 things?
Yes, you can. You can eat. You can mix them together for all I care.
No, I don't know that that's going to work.
Hey, thanks so much for your time. Obviously, if I wrote a paper about Vancity decades ago, I'm a fan. So thank you for what also you've done for the system. I know many credit unions look to you and look to the work that Vancity does. And I know you're always wonderful at sharing that. So I think you're a very good player for all credit unions. So thank you for that. And thanks for your time today, Jonathan. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah, me as well. And thank you for those kind words. And please send the paper. I want to read this thing.
Oh, I'll try to find it. I think I typed it on a typewriter. That's how old it is. Anyways, have a great day. Thanks again.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Take
All
care.
right. Bye now.
Bye.